Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a story wrapped in mystery, resilience, and the unshakable stillness of a man who chose silence as his companion until a single night changed everything. The cowboy was a fixture on the edge of town, his hat pulled low, his boots worn by miles of unspoken roads. To the locals, he was more of a shadow than a man, a living question mark beneath the vast Texas sky. His life was as steady as the horizon until the river, swollen from relentless rains, began to rise. That night, nature's voice roared, and so did his, breaking years of silence with words that would echo for generations. The exterior of this story is painted with the rugged beauty of the West. Picture wide, open plains brushed with gold under the late evening sun. The cowboy's cabin sat alone, built from rough timber and resting on land surrounded by wild mesquite trees and fields that seemed to breathe with the wind. The earth was dry and cracked most seasons, but when the rains came, the nearby river turned from a slow-moving silver ribbon into a dangerous, churning beast. Against this backdrop, the cowboy lived in perfect harmony with the land, his presence blending into the weathered wood of the fence and the soft rustle of prairie grass. His days were quiet, each sunrise and sunset marking time like the ticking of a silent clock. The interior of his world was far simpler. Inside the cabin, there was little more than a sturdy wooden table, a bed with a wool blanket, and a shelf holding an old lantern, a few books, and a small, worn photograph. The walls were bare except for a single lasso hanging like a memory he couldn't put away. It was a place of solitude, every object telling a quiet story that no one had yet heard. When it comes to performance, the cowboy's life was a masterclass in efficiency without waste. Every movement was precise, every task done with purpose. He worked cattle without a single shouted order, guided by whistles, nods, and an uncanny connection to his animals. His silence wasn't a weakness, it was his sharpest tool. But when the river began to rise, the performance shifted from quiet discipline to urgent, relentless action. He moved with the speed of someone who understood the stakes, roping stray calves, securing fences, and riding into the flooded lowlands to guide neighbors to safety. Years of unspoken practice had honed his instincts for the very night when every second mattered. Safety was always part of his way of life, though he never announced it. He kept his gear maintained to perfection, his saddle oiled, his boots reinforced, his ropes tested and strong. He knew the river better than anyone, where its bends ran shallow and where it could turn deadly without warning. When the floodwaters came, he used this knowledge like a weapon, steering his horse along hidden ridges and guiding those trapped in the rising current to high ground. He understood that safety wasn't about avoiding danger but about knowing how to move through it without hesitation. The unique selling points of this story are as rich as the soil after a storm. It isn't just about a flood or a cowboy, it's about transformation. This man had built a life out of silence, guarding his thoughts and words like a locked chest. Yet, in the face of nature's fury, he unlocked that chest, calling out orders, encouraging frightened children, and even comforting those who thought they might not make it. The night the river rose was also the night his voice became part of the land's history. The people he saved would tell it over campfires, in dusty cafes, and in the same fields he once walked without notice. His silence became legend not because he kept it, but because of the one time he broke it. As for price, the cost was never counted in money. The flood claimed fences, livestock, and crops. It swallowed fields whole and left scars in the earth that would take years to heal. But the real value was measured in lives, and in the trust earned from a town that once saw him as little more than a lone rider. The only currency that mattered that night was courage, and he spent it without hesitation. In return, the town gave him something priceless, a place not just on the land but in their hearts. In conclusion, this is a story about a man who lived on the quiet edges of the world until life demanded his voice. The cowboy who never spoke became the cowboy who saved a town, and in doing so, he bridged the distance between himself and the people he had always watched from afar. His silence had been his armor, but when he shed it, he revealed a strength that no flood could wash away. Long after the waters receded, the memory of his words would remain, proof that sometimes the most powerful voices are the ones we hear only once, in the moment they matter most.